Hello and welcome back to Lorehammer. We got part 2 of Sanguinius. I wonder what will happen. I'm your host, Mark. I specifically have requested Court on this episode because I know he's going to give me teardrops for sure.
It's probably going to happen, so thank you for bringing me on.
Yeah. I just want to see how many different memes we can make of you. We got the teeth meme. That's good. But what else do we got from you? Maybe some crying stuff? Do you get super emotional?
We talk about the Horus Heresy. I'm bound to get emotional. It just happens.
I love it.
Yeah.
We also got Christian joining us. Heyo.
Hey. I'm ready to get some blood transfusions going here. We're all going to mix our bloods together in a blood pact of some kind, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah, this is why I'm glad we're not in studio. Yeah, that used to happen. It used to be spit packs. Slanish episodes really sucked, the type of packs we did for those ones.
Just light touching. Little leg touch.
We also got Gerald joining us for this episode.
Hello. We also have a fifth guest, as is now tradition, with a Primarch episode.
Ooh,
we got Sanguinius himself.
Looking good.
And that's a third party, eh? That guy?
Yes. Every 30k Primarch I have is third party.
So that's not Sanguinius. That is Blood Angel Prince, actually.
No, that's an imposter.
That is Blood Gwinius. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
There you go.
Perfect.
Sanguinius.
Yeah.
So we'll do some quick housekeeping before we get into this episode. Join the Discord. It's a fun place to hang out. People make lots of friends. People share exciting news. Today, somebody was on there, Hottie, and he was like, I got my L4. And he was super hyped about it. I don't know what it is, but he was hyped to share it with people. And I'm like, good for you, man. Good for you. L4. Okay. So come join the Discord. You can share your exciting news. There's cat pictures on there. If you don't have exciting news, that also suffice. So there's links in the description below, or just message on Facebook or something. Links will be sent out to you.
L4. Is that like part of your spine? Like, is that like one of your vertebrae? I'm just going to
assume
got his
that spine back.
As a bone man and a bone collector, like maybe he got like a little piece of a vertebrae. Like that's pretty cool. Also, guys, if you like the show and you dig what we do here, first off, we really appreciate it. Secondly, if you want to support the show, join the Imperial Tithe and jump on Patreon. So jump on Patreon. You can support the show. $2.50 a month gets you an ad-free version of every episode. So you don't have to hit the little skip button and then like you miss part of it and then you have to go back, but it's not enough. And so you have to keep skipping. And then for $5 a month, video version. And you get to see all of our mediocre faces.
And knockoff minis.
And knockoff minis, mediocre faces, and Lord of the Rings posters in the background. That's what you get. Yeah.
Perfect. Cheap.
Yeah.
It's worth every dollar.
Yeah.
You also get to join the live stream. You get to access the show early. You can join Patreon. You can access the chat room during the show. Alpha Primus in the chat is saying, is it tragic? He becomes the Primarch of the Damned and goes to being goth from emo.
No, he becomes a corpse.
That tends to be what happens when you die. Yes.
Yeah.
Emo to goth is upgrade. Emo to goth is upgrade.
Okay. And you can also call in at the end of the show. So yeah, you can interact with us live on camera.
Wow, fancy. Cool. Well, let's get into what we're going to be getting into this episode. We're going to do a quick recap, then jumping right into where we left off, the Horus Heresy, and we'll start off with the Flaw, jumping into the Cygnus campaign, which is a little battle against like the first unknown entity. We'll just leave it at that. Then the arrival in the 500 worlds of Ultramar. We've talked before about the what is it called over there? The Imperium Secundus? Reboot Gilman's Empire?
Like the second founding?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So the Imperial Secundus, we'll talk about that over there with Reboot Gilliman, Lionel Johnson, Sanguinius, the capture of the Night Hunter. People in the chat have been saying that the most commonly occurring character apparently is the Night Hunter on Lorehammer, so that's unfortunate for all of us, really. But here we are.
It's because some people just wouldn't let a meme die.
Yeah, but like also is very interesting to talk about. It just seems to pop up over and over again. So we'll talk about him real quick, and then we get to the big bad battle, the Battle of Terror itself, and then Imperial Sainthood. I gave it away. He does become a corpse, and then he becomes a saint. So that is wonderful and glorious. And then we'll just go over quick little powers and abilities, appearance, personality. And he does pick up a couple new pieces of war gear, which are kind of cool. And then finally, the legacy that he's left not only on his chapter, but the Imperium at large. Pretty packed episode. Gonna be fun.
And the legacy he left on the hearts and minds of all Imperial citizens, including us.
Yes.
Every day I light a candle.
Yes. It's beautiful. It's sad. It's tragic. Let's get ready to cry tears of blood together.
Amen.
So let's
Amen.
start off with a recap. Sanguinius and the Horus Heresy. In the second part of our series, we journey deeper into the life and legacy of Sanguinius, the noble Primarch of the Blood Angels. From his early days of youth to the heights of the Great Crusade and the sacred homeworld of Baal to the creation of the legendary Blood Angels chapter, we will explore the man, the myth, the legend behind the wings, the compassion, the burden, and the destiny that shaped both him and his sons. So yeah, real quick recap here. His youth, Sanguinius' youth was marked by a unique blend of innocence and precocious wisdom. Even as a child, his radiant spirit and compassionate heart set him apart. Gifted with magnificent wings and prophetic visions, he carried the heavy burden of knowing the dark fate that awaited him and those he loved. His early years forged a character of gentle nobility tempered by the quiet strength that will guide him through the trials ahead. And that's in contrast to Baal, the harsh and unforgiving world of Baal that became the cradle of Sanguinius' legion, the Blood Angels. A planet scarred by endless storms and radiation, Baal shaped the resilience and fierce loyalty of his sons. Beneath its red skies, the Primarch and his warriors carved a home where honor, sacrifice, and brotherhood flourished, an endearing bastion amid the galaxy's chaos.
I did really like the opposite nature of Sanguinius and Baal, where one is like, yeah, that majestic, and then the people are not, and like, yeah, there's such an opposite there on everything, even the people that they recruit from. Like, yeah, it's a fun little place to look into.
You kind of get that with Fulgrim as well, like Fulgrim and landing on Chemos, yeah, and just this like gorgeous baby, and then they raise it, and it like gives you art and music and all that out of this like kind of like factory world. Yeah, a lot of times there's like that cool juxtaposition of like Primarch to world, and sometimes it's just one for one.
Yeah, sometimes you get Space Wolves.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, sometimes they parallel really closely, or sometimes they're polar opposites, but that's kind of what you get. There's no like neutral Primarch, like a gray Primarch who lands like on and like, oh yeah, it's just a world that did some things. Just
like Steve, like
yeah, no real character to him.
No,
the Primarch. He was one of the missing Primarchs, Steve.
He got lost again. No one was keeping track of him, and he never bothered to check in.
He's just easily misplaced. You just don't know where he is. He's just such a gray man. He just disappears.
Oh man.
But back to the Radiant one. We'll talk a little bit about, or we talked in our last episode a bit about the Great Crusade. During the Great Crusade, Sanguinius was a shining light among the Emperor's sons, leading his legion with a blend of grace, courage, and compassion. He inspired loyalty and hope across countless worlds. His angelic wings and martial skill made him a legendary figure on the battlefield, while his foresight and honor bound him ever closer to the Emperor's grand vision of humanity's future. And the Legion itself, the Blood Angels, forged in the image of their Primarch, they inherited both his nobility and his tragic curse. Known for their valor and discipline, they also bear the dark legacies of the Black Rage and Red Thirst, psychic and genetic afflictions tied to Sanguinius' sacrifice, which we'll expound upon later. That's not a spoiler. Through honor and struggle, the Blood Angels continue to uphold the Primarch's memory, standing as fierce guardians of the Imperium, even as they wrestle with the shadows within.
Yes.
Yeah, this episode's been kind of, and the last one was kind of interesting, not to spoil what happens to him, but it's such like key 40k mythos. It's one of the very first things you almost learn. You learn of the Emperor, then you learn of Horus, then what happened to Horus? Well, he had something happened, you know.
A little thing called the Heresy. It's named after him.
Yeah. But yeah, carry on.
Well, speaking of the Horus Heresy, of course, Mark, you assigned me to read this part here in hopes that blood would be shed from my eyeballs like tears. So let's see if this happens.
It's a slow build. Don't worry.
It is a slow build. Yes. Yeah. Heresy doesn't happen in a single day. So we'll see. So the events of the Horus Heresy left a deeper, more sorrowful wound upon the Blood Angels than any other loyalist Space Marine Legion. For it was not merely war or betrayal that marked them, but the shattering of something pure and hopeful. Oh, fuck. God damn it. Here we go. All right. So
It's already
it's already just clenching at me. It's getting me. Okay. This burden has weighed upon the Blood Angels and their successor chapters ever since. A legacy of grief etched into their very souls. Just as the Emperor's dream of unity and peace seemed within reach, the Great Crusade faltered and collapsed in tragedy beyond comprehension. It's still fucking happening. I'm just getting emotional. Horus, once the war master of the Imperium and the most cherished of the Emperor's sons, fell to darkness. In his fall, he did not simply betray the Imperium, he devastated it, tearing open a wound from which mankind has never truly healed, even after 10,000 years. In a sorrowful unfolding of fate, Horus, twisted and consumed by the ruinous powers, turned his brothers against their father, Primarchs who once stood as paragons of honor and unity were broken, seduced by shadow. For 9 long years, the Imperium bled, and it ended at the very threshold of the Emperor's sanctum on Terra. Brother fought brother as Terra's skies burned. Sanguinius, ever noble and foreseeing, beheld the terrible cost of loyalty and the dreadful price of prophecy. Horus, empowered by the dark gods and damned by their gifts, stood at the pinnacle of chaos, his soul fortified, his purpose corrupted, and the galaxy left trembling beneath the weight of his fall. That's. I hope we're not stopping there as far as events go on that time.
That's all you get.
That better not fucking be.
No, like I said, that's kind of like the common. That's kind of like the common knowledge you'd get on the Horus Heresy, and we've kind of talked about all these characters before. But yeah, no, we'll get into it. Like I said, the slow build.
I will say, I thought the events of the Horus Heresy were over 7 years. Is it 7?
That's what I thought too.
Well, I guess I'm a dumb bitch, you know. What do you do?
Look, I don't want to say it, but if you said it,
I'm the first to admit it, man. You know,
your words, not ours.
Yeah, all I do over here at Lorehammer is 100 monkeys in this studio with me and typewriters, and they start clacking, and this is what we get.
Yeah. Yes, I think it was only 7 years. It's funny. I type in Horus Heresy length, and it tells me that it's 63 novels. And I'm like, hang on, that's not what I'm asking about here. Okay, thanks a lot, AI, you dick.
But it's still technically true.
It's still technically true, but yeah, interesting. Yeah, so maybe we can get chat to confirm, but
yeah. Till then, we'll go into kind of jump back to the heresy, and we'll talk about the flaw. Before his fall, Horus and Sanguinius had waged countless campaigns side by side. Their bond forged through fire and triumph. So close was their kinship that it stirred envy among some of their brother Primarchs. Yet even then, in the shadowed corners of his ambition, Horus understood a painful truth. Sanguinius, ever loyal and resolute, would never betray the Emperor. And so Horus devised a terrible scheme. He would either sway the noble Blood Angels to his cause or see them utterly destroyed. His plan was seeded long before the heresy, when, during a brutal genocidal war on Melkor, he uncovered a terrible secret of the 9th Legion. Deep within the sunken alien chapel, he came upon Sanguinius in a moment of grim necessity, ending the life of one of his own Astartes. To Horus's shock, the angel confided the terrible reason. Buried deep within his gene code lay a darkness yet to awaken. This would become known as the Red Thirst. Sanguinius had long borne this knowledge alone, shielded from the truth of the Emperor and his brothers out of a sense of duty and shame. A few among his sons have come to know fragments of the truth, but only Ezekielon, first Captain Relador, and Master Apothecary on Baal, and a select few were fully aware of the nature and weight of the flaw. These few stood by him not merely as warriors, but as companions in sorrow, united in their silent mission to mend the wound within their gene line and ease their father's burden. This flaw, the Red Thirst, is interesting. We've talked about Sanguinius's foresight, and that bleeds into these guys, essentially, into his Blood Angels. Another fun flaw is Magnus and the flesh change, and how that kind of goes hand in hand very much. And then together they kind of quell each other, but they're also their undoing. Very interesting, kind of.
Kind of like a sins of the father kind of thing. It's just the connection between your Primarch and your legion, which is good. Like, again, everybody needs a flaw in their legion, and I think that's, like we've talked about, if you're good at everything, you're interesting at nothing. So having
just imagine if they were the perfect angels,
the
noble sons, no flaw. Yeah.
It reminds me of when we spoke. It's actually the example, Space Marine Legion, when we spoke to Rick Priestley about like the monstrous aspect of the Space Marines. Obviously, they have this angelic like exterior, but underneath there's this like vampiric, almost demonic kind of side to them, where they're angels, but also demons. They're monsters as well as like humanity's saviors.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool.
Moved by his brother's quiet suffering, Horus gave his solemn word that he would reveal his secret to no one, not even the Emperor. For as long as Sanguinius willed it, the truth would remain hidden. The angel, grateful for his brother's compassion, accepted the vow. Horus pledged to aid him, for as long as the battle demanded. Neither could have foreseen the cruel irony that lay ahead, that one day Horus, consumed and corrupted, would twist this very secret into a weapon meant to break the hearts of the Blood Angels. Yeah, just plots and schemes so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the Cygnus campaign. Solar decades later, Horus turned the trust of his brother once gave him into a weapon, as he does. Armed with knowledge of the Blood Angel's genetic flaw, the War Master sought to either corrupt his most beloved brother's legion or see it annihilated before it could stand in the way of his ruthless ambitions to seize Terra and claim the Imperium for himself. In the wake of his fall, it is said that Horus came to hate and fear Sanguinius above all others, crafting countless schemes to entrap or destroy the angel. Though each would come to naught, as part of his treachery, Horus assigned the 9th Legion a seemingly noble task to cleanse the Cygnus cluster of Xenos oppressors and liberate its human settlers, masking his true intent to deliver Sanguinius into a nightmare. The Blood Angels, ever dutiful, obeyed without hesitation. They journeyed into the Cygnus cluster, 7 worlds and 15 moons near the galactic core, unaware that this mission was laced with malice. With no knowledge of Horus's betrayal, Sanguinius led his legion with honor into what he believed was a righteous campaign. But the cluster had already fallen to the touch of the ruinous powers. The veil between realities had torn, and Cygnus had become a kingdom of horror, real space gripped by the madness of chaos and ruled by a greater demon of Slanesh known as Chris the Perverse. No relation.
Are you sure?
Yes. Maybe a distant cousin of mine, but
Kyrus.
We pronounce it Chris, actually.
But then you're not giving it its due because it sounds like Caius. the desert stoner rock band that helped forge Queens of the Stone Age.
Of course, my mistake.
Jeez,
Mistake.
God, you ignorant bitch.
Right. Upon their arrival, the Blood Angels' fleet was ambushed. Warp-born powers assailed them, slaying navigators and astropaths in the first deadly moments. It was here among the stars that Sanguinius and his sons first met the hideous face of chaos. Kyrus appeared to Sanguinius in an illusion, proclaiming his dominion over the system in Slaaneish's name, and daring the Primarch to reclaim what had been lost. Despite never having faced such a foe, Sanguinius accepted the challenge. He would not abandon those under his protection, nor shy from a duty others might deem hopeless. Yeah, this is still pretty early. Well, not early in the Great Crusade, but it's early on that demons aren't really known as demons. There's still kind of this amorphous threat. Some legions are starting to encounter them, but yeah, they don't understand exactly what it is they're facing in relation to the warp and everything that we know in 40K. Just some important context.
I think also that just kind of ties into what we're talking about, 7 or 9 years. Where do you kind of mark the beginnings of the Horus Heresy? So they're just following up. There is a little bit of it could be 7 to 9 years depending on where you start it, because the knowledge of chaos, is that kind of where it kicks in?
Yeah.
So
you could even get crazy with it with who, was it when Horus first fell? Was it when Erebus first arrived and started corrupting the Legion? There's a lot of points where it's not really a hard and fast rule.
Yeah.
Davin, Drop Site Massacre. But
but they were already corrupted by then, right?
Right. They'd made their choices. And Alpha Primus, I just saw your comment, 7 to 9 years. Yep. Good call.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's fun in the books how they kind of, for the first time you see this Space Marines be like, what the fuck kind of battle is this? I remember when they first encounter Samus and they start getting horrified and just what is... Yeah, they just
who the fuck? What is this?
Yeah, they have no idea yet. They're just so unaware. Poor naive Astartes, but
yeah, and especially kind of understanding that the Great Crusade was supposedly a crusade of reason and science and destruction of religion. No, there are no gods. No, there's no mysticism. That was the thrust of the Great Crusade's ideology. And then they start encountering demons, and they're like, we have no explanation for what this is. No material explanation, anyways. Yeah.
And they shall know no fear. The fuck you want me to do?
That's not good enough.
All right. Leading his sons, the angel struck at Kyrus's demonic legions, launching attacks across the corrupted worlds of the system. On Cygnus Prime, the heart of his realm of despair, Sanguinius descended as a wrathful storm. Against throngs of chaos-worshipping cultists and unholy creatures, he stood resolute, wielding vengeance not for glory, but for the Emperor and the lives entrusted to his care. The blood of traitors and demons flooded the fields, and the Cathedral of the Mark, Kyrus's stronghold, also not a coincidence. The demon Chris and the cathedral called Mark. It was all preordained.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
Yeah, what is happening here?
Kyrus' stronghold became the crucible where Sanguinius sought to cast out the darkness. Yet it was not Kyrus who he found there, but something more brutal. Kabanda, a monstrous bloodthirster of Khorne. Kabanda, a demon steeped in slaughter, mocked the angel with revelations of Horus's betrayal. Sanguinius, wounded not by doubt, but by the sorrowful recognition of truth, met the demon in single combat. Though the Primarch fought with the fury of righteous anguish, driving his blade into the demon's chest, Kabanda lashed out with savage might. His whip crushed the angel's legs, and his axe hurled the winged warrior to the ground. Dazed and battered, Sanguinius could only watch as Kabanda rampaged, cleaving through 500 of his sons. The psychic shock of their deaths overwhelmed the Primarch, casting him into consciousness.
Okay, so remember last episode, there was a huge battle. and there's a number of Blood Angels that died. Do you remember what that number was?
No.
I believe it
7
was
and 9.
No, I believe it was like 50,000 or something like that. Maybe that's wrong. I believe it was like 30 or 50. You know, I'm getting those crossed, but it was a huge fucking number. And then we kind of get to this, and it was only 500. I was trying to rationalize that. It could just be, you know, fuck GW and the numbers. Who cares? Don't put much thought into it. But I was just kind of rationalize like this whole plot and scheme that Horus has kind of put together for the Blood Angels and for Sanguinius, and this was kind of a part of it. Just kind of putting the intention, oh, now he's going to meet Kabanda, and that's going to, so that's kind of how I was kind of rationalizing it. Like 500 Astartes, that is not that many to have such a huge effect on the Legion that we'll talk more about. But
yeah, I think a couple ways, and again, like I agree with you. Like I'm just retroactively trying to reason it through, but it could also be like the state, you know, like it's one thing to lose them in a regular battlefield. It's the other, like you're in the middle of a demonic infestation. The veil between your mind and reality is so thin already. They're being slaughtered by a greater demon. Like all these factors are probably compounding. And then also the weight of the discovery of Horus's betrayal. Like that alone, like my brother put me in this position. He had no idea.
And that would like open up their minds to like, that whole, my brother has betrayed me, like that whole thing that we've talked about so many times. Like, like you can rationalize it for sure. Like there's a number of ways. I like that too. Like the shock of it. Like,
yeah. It would not be until the Siege of Terra that Sanguinius would again face the beast who had struck such a grievous wound. But in that moment of loss, something dark awakened in the Blood Angels. In the ruin of their Primarch and the massacre of their brothers, a madness gripped them, the first terrible eruption of the Black Rage. Driven beyond reason, they hurled themselves into the demonic tide, their grief transforming into a furious wrath that shattered the forces arrayed against them. Even the mighty Kyrus could not withstand their fury. The demon was cast back into the warp by the bloodied hands of the Ninth Legion, yet the cost of this grim victory was terrible. Though Cygnus Prime had been purged of chaos, the shadow left upon the Blood Angels endured. The rage that had once avenged them would forever haunt them, and their successors, a sorrow entwined with their very nature. In the days that followed, Sanguinius's wounds knit with unnatural speed, the gift of his superhuman form. But though his body recovered, his spirit carried a fresh burden. He swore that Kabanda would one day fall by his hand. And when Rogaldorn's call came, summoning the Blood Angels to Terra, Sanguinius did not hesitate. With the clarity of one who had seen the abyss, he led his sons with solemn urgency. He knew, perhaps more than any other, the full weight that now threatened the Imperium.
Yeah.
It's
rad.
Says,
he's pissed.
No,
I was gonna say, like, I love that Sanguinius is like, I'm gonna fucking murk this guy if I get the chance. Like, he is just marked. He's like, I will not let this demon go on.
Yeah, you don't want to be on the receiving end of the vow of vengeance like that, for sure. Alphys Primus also depends on the 500. If they're just initiates who cares, but if they're the first company, that's a different story. Yeah, there's a couple things to reason out. People have different ways, so that's fun.
Yeah. I do like the idea of, like, I know we talk about 500 not being a huge number and whatnot, but and whether they're initiates and it's whether, you know, the circumstances of their deaths. Regardless, I love that there's an impact upon the Legion. Like, this kind of goes back and forth a little bit, where like a death brings upon a big impact within the Legion itself. And we're going to see that, of course, when we talk about Sanguinius's death and how that impacts the Legion. And so there's like this, we talk about mourning and sorrowful sympathy and all that, kind of these keywords with the Blood Angels. And it really is such a key thing that there is this like this mourning, empathic, almost like like just this mutual sorrow. When something happens, the Legion feels it. And I like that that's starting here, and kind of triggering and tripling, like kind of trickling throughout, especially when we get to the Sanguinius part. But like these things matter. Like 500, yes, boom, it happens.
It's funny you mentioned the empathy thing, because that was a big trait of Angron and the World Eaters before the Butcher's Nails were implanted in him, and then he subsequently did that with his legion, so that destroyed any possibility of them becoming anything more than just raging, frothing berserkers.
Yeah.
Fun way to go about it, but not everyone's style. I get it.
So let's talk about the arrival in 500 Worlds of Ultramar. Following the end of a long and punishing campaign, the Blood Angels turned their gaze towards Terra, eager to lend their strength to the defense of the Imperium's heart. Yet the way home was barred by the unnatural fury of the Ruinstorm, an imperial maelstrom unleashed by the word bearers during the dark rites at Calf. Still, in the midst of the chaos, the Legion's navigators glimpsed a brilliant point of light piercing the storm's veil. Believing it to be the Emperor's Astronomicon, the fleet, desperate for direction and purpose, went straight towards it. The light offered a promise of refuge, and without hesitation, the Blood Angels broke through the warp and into real space. But when the veil of the Immaterium lifted, the truth was revealed. They were hundreds of light years from their intended path, far from Terra's light. This, however, was no random misstep. Guided by Sanguinius's quiet but unwavering command, his navigators had reached instead for the most powerful psychic beacon they could feel. It was not the Astronomicon they had followed, but the blazing signal of the ancient Xenos device known as the Pharos, resting on the distant world of Sotha. Oops. Made an oopsie. Should have zigged when we zagged.
Yeah. Yeah. We haven't really talked a whole lot about the Pharos before. I think we have in Lorehammer. Like, we've definitely mentioned it before, but we haven't like kind of retouched it. But this device is pretty interesting. And when we get to Rubric Gilliman and his Legion, it will come into a bigger factor and stuff, what this device actually is and why it sent out a beacon big enough to replicate the Astronomicon, which is a crazy feat.
Yeah.
Isn't that also the thing that possibly attracted the Tyranids to the galaxy?
Yeah, some think.
Yeah, there's a few of those different theories of what it could be, and I think it's viable to say that would be one for sure. And then just as like a fun little recap, like for those of you who do not know what the Astronomicon is, it's like the Emperor's light. It's the guiding light. It's kind of the beacon, the lighthouse within the galaxy that navigators can use basically to find their way. And so it's isn't it powered by the death of 1,000 psychers every day?
Hey, we don't like to talk about that. You might be next if you mention this again. Yeah,
Well,
get him. Yeah, no, it's like a
best.
crazy thing. Like how does that all work? Like, it's a whole system that feeds into it. Yeah, you sacrifice the Psychers to the Astronomicon, and then the Emperor directs that energy kind of and manifests it into the Astronomicon. So it's kind of this like you need both to operate it.
Yeah. So unwittingly, the Blood Angels had traversed the galaxy's breadth in a single fateful jump through the warp. That emerged in the realm of Ultramar, far from the chosen road, but perhaps exactly where fate had needed them. Soon after arrival, they were met by a patrol formation of unidentified vessels. Cobalt blue ships, gleaming with white and gold, approached in formation. Gee, I wonder who it could be. These were the ships of the 13th Legion. From their lead vessel came a voice of welcome, calm, measured, and proud. Rabute Gilliman, Lord of Macragge and Master of Ultramar, greeted his brother with open arms and a heart relieved to find Sanguinius, the angel, safe amid the storm. So shit move on the navigator's part. We went through. Don't know where we are. Little scary moment. There's your brother, and there you go. So, it's nice safety. Yep.
Yeah, like, and in this moment in time, like, no one knew what was happening. The Ruinstorm basically ripped the galaxy in half for a brief moment and cut off communication. So everyone's just like in this communicationless like state. So yeah, you get this all of a sudden. Oh shit, the angel, he's alive. Like we don't. And they're talking in secret, like, hey, have you heard anything from the Emperor? And they're like, no, I fucking haven't heard anything. Like, we think he's dead. Like, they eventually get to that point, too. Like, it's a crazy kind of relief, but also, like, okay, how's the state of the galaxy doing? This isn't good.
Yeah. I like to picture it as just, like, that catching up moment of, like, how you been? Oh, good. Fought Kabanda. 500 died. Didn't feel good. He got away.
Broke my legs.
Yeah. I swore vengeance upon him. How are you?
I built a cool empire.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay.
Imperium Secundus. With the Imperium torn in two by the savage upheaval of the Ruinstorm, the two halves stood isolated and blind to one another. The Astronomicon's guiding light no longer reached Ultramar, and the Emperor's voice had been silent for several Terran years. In the face of such darkness, Reboot Guilliman, ever the pragmatist and steward of order, declared the founding of the Imperium Secundus, a noble attempt to preserve the Imperium's ideals and continue the struggle against the traitors in their father's absence. When the Blood Angels emerged from the nightmare of Cygnus and reached the 500 worlds, Guilliman welcomed his brother with open arms and deep relief. In Sanguinius, he saw not only nobility and grace, but also a destiny greater than any other. Guilliman named him the rightful heir to the Emperor and crowned him the Imperator Reigns of Imperium Secundus. Soon after, the Dark Angels arrived, drawn also by the Pharaoh's psychic light. Lionel Johnson was declared Lord Protector of this realm and the commander of the military might, a role echoing that of the War Master. Yet the hopes invested in this second Imperium were soon strained by shadow. Unknown to all, Conrad Kurz, the haunted Primarch of the Night Lords, had stowed away aboard the Lion's flagship, the Invincible Reason. Upon escaping confinement, he unleashed a reign of terror across Macragge, sowing fear and chaos in defiance of the order his brothers sought to build. In time, Guilliman and the Lion confronted their wayward brother, but Cruz, ever the cunning and steeped in malice, had prepared a cruel trap with explosives buried in the sacred ground. He brought down the entire chapel upon them. Their lives would have been ended then and there had it not been for the intervention of barbarous Dantioch, a loyal warsmith of the Iron Warriors. Linked to Guilliman through the arcane workings of the Pharaoh, Dantioch acted on pure instinct. Reaching through the activated portal, he grasped both Primarchs and pulled them across the stars, delivering them safely on Sotha. Yeah, a lot happens there, but also at the same time, I think you get Conrad Kurz getting more credit than he deserves. Like, we have this whole fucking 500 world empire that's, lasted 200 years already and it's been growing and growing. And he terrorizes one planet like a fucking goon. I think Imperium Secundus was fine.
He would have had the craziest Primarch kill count too if he pulled it off, which I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, that could have been wild if he pulled it off, and sounds like he almost did.
Depends on if you count all the times that he tortures Vulcan.
That's true, actually. He is in the lead.
I'm gonna take a page from Gimli. A show only counts as one.
Double nerding. There we go. Good job, Gerald. Got it.
You're very welcome, good sir.
The Imperium Secundus is so important too, and I know we're just kind of like it's a part of what we're talking about, but it's so important because Guilliman and some others believe that the Emperor has been slain, that the Emperor's dead. That's why they're like, we can't figure out like where the Astronomicon is. The light of the Emperor has gone. So what do you do? And basically the idea is like, we need to reforge the Imperium, start again, and we need to get it going. So they almost like waste no time. Like, here we go. And I
Here's your
love,
titles.
yes,
They give out all that.
yeah, I love also that. I think there was there was a little bit of debate, like, well, who the fuck's going to lead this? Are you going to do it? And then it basically goes like, Gilliman goes, no, it's going to be Sanguinius. Like, he's the new emperor. And everybody's just like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Like, yeah, I can't argue with that. So
it kind of mirrors.
Well, it's not going to be the
whole-
lion.
yeah,
It mirrors the whole discussion that was had before, like Horus originally being the perfect child, and then behind him was Sanguinius, the other perfect child of the emperor. And then when the lion got basically whatever the equivalent to War Master was, I mean, that was a discussion. He was a contender to be War Master, if not Horus.
yeah.
Yeah.
It really looks like this is kind of the play. Like, this is the move. Like, this really is pretty good idea.
Yeah, yeah. And it's kind of the first example of Primarchs building a unified empire together. Like, they're all very distinct. Like, it would almost be fun to play out what happens if this carried on, where you almost get Blood Angels and Ultramarines and Dark Angels forming deeper and deeper bonds, and maybe recruiting from the same planet eventually, and all that kind of stuff. But we don't quite get there.
Yeah.
This is Warhammer. We can't have nice things.
No. Yeah. So, all right. Let's talk about the capture and trial of the Night Haunter. Everybody's favorite, Conrad Kurz. Over the next 2 Terran years, as the relentless pursuit of the tormented Night Haunter continued, tensions steadily grew between Lionel Johnson and Rabute Gilliman. Their visions for the Imperium Secundus, though rooted in loyalty, diverged, particularly in the views of maintaining order and responding to uprisings within Macragge, which the Lion believed had been incited by Kurz's hidden influence. I just picture him like tiptoeing around, just like scheming and then like every now and then just like, cutting somebody with his lightning claws. Like, gotcha. I
just crippling people for life. Just
oh god, I know. I just like he's in the shadows. Dun 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 dun. Dun. Oh gosh,
Got your nose.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then he just puts it on his ceramite armor. Is like snip. Puts it on his like pauldron. I like him. He's cool, but it's just funny. So, following a tragic suicide bombing of an Astartes convoy, the Lion responded by placing Macragge under martial law, deploying the might of the First Legion. Convinced that Kurz had found sanctuary within the rebellious Illyrium region, the Lion proposed a ruthless solution: an orbital saturation bombardment to annihilate both the rebels and the Night Haunter. Yet such an action was met with grave resistance by Gilliman and Sanguinius alike. Yeah, no shit, no debate there. The Imperator regions, ever guided by conscience and foresight, could not allow such an indiscriminate loss of life. Yielding to their protest, the Lion instead unleashed the Dreadwing to scour the region and root out the enemy. It was during the assault on Alma Mons that L. Johnson at last cornered Kurz, and brother met brother in a furious, bitter duel. After a savage exchange, the Lion triumphed. Standing over his broken sibling, he demanded to know why Kurz had turned from the Emperor. The Night Haunter, his eyes full of madness and fatalism, simply whispered, "Why not?" He spoke of the monster within his mind, of a compulsion he could neither silence nor escape. Though L. Johnson had every right and reason to end him, he stayed his hand. Instead, with grim finality, he tore the reactor pack from Kurz's armor and brought him down upon his knee, shattering his spine and leaving him broken. The defeated Night Haunter was brought in chains to face judgment before Gilliman and Sanguinius. I do want to just pause a moment and bring up, I mean, this is such a cool moment. Really.
So cool.
Like he
Yeah.
does the cool like Bane, Batman. Oh shit. It just
We are 2 for 2 for Bane
Whoa.
backbreakers here.
Yeah.
I just realized Conrad Kurz, everybody calls him like Batman of 40K. Bane, Breaking Batman, Lionel Johnson. Oh man, it's just too much. It's too much.
I love it.
So yeah. I understand the idea of like, why would you turn against the Emperor? Like him questioning and like needing an answer. But I think we have to keep in mind also like, no one really liked Conrad. Like,
yeah.
no one really had. I mean, I would say the writing was on the wall, like
He
kind of
gives
from the
off a
beginning.
bad first appearance,
Yeah,
first impression. He's got matted black hair. He's sunken eyed. He doesn't look very friendly. He smiles at you and his teeth are like sharp and you're like, oh, that's a little fucking weird, but okay.
yeah,
Hi, I guess you're the Emperor's son, and he just growls at you.
yeah. Like he's tormented, and I think it's Lionel Johnson like needing an answer and hoping to get one, and of course his answer is why not. So I almost love that this speaks for Chaos perfectly, because like we said, when the Imperium is learning of Chaos, they just can't comprehend it. They don't get it, and it's this oh my god, here we go, Batman again. It's Batman beating the shit out of the Joker, like like, why? Give me a reason. He's just like, no. Like it's just chaos for chaos' sake. And so by Conrad Kurz just kind of responding with why not, they still can't comprehend it. I love that. So it does speak to chaos for sure.
Well, you also got to consider too, like Lionel Johnson being the, I guess we'll say, one on the very autistic end of the spectrum, with like his like absolute loyalty no matter what. So like he sees Kurz as a son of the Emperor. So like you have no reason but to stay loyal. So that's just like that laser focus. Why are you doing this?
Yeah, he's kind of a dense
Yeah.
strategist, and he's just like kind of not single-minded, but he's very just like focused and forward. So yeah.
Very laser focused, especially when it came to bombarding McCrag.
Yeah. Well, let's just destroy it. Yeah. So a triumvirate was convened. Kurz, ever defiant, refused guilt. This dude is fucking broken, literally, too. He claimed that his every act was ordained by design, that he, like all Primarchs, had been made with a singular purpose. As the avatar of fear and retribution, he argued he had done no wrong. With venomous cunning, he sowed discord between his captors, accusing the Lion of secretly ordering bombardments in defiance of Guilliman's explicit orders. Guilliman, incensed by his betrayal, broke the Lion's sword across his armored thigh, furious that his brother had acted without honor. The Lion, stricken with rage and shame, made to kill Kurz then and there, but was halted by the calm, resolute voice of Sanguinius. With grace born of sorrow, the angel dissolved the triumvirate. He dismissed Lionel Johnson from his role as Lord Protector and declared his banishment from the Imperium Secundus for violating the principles they had sworn to uphold. Without protest, the Lion withdrew, and the Dark Angels departed McCrag within solar hours. Alone aboard the Invincible Reason, the Lion brooded within the shadowed chamber of the Tucholka engine. Memories of decades past, regrets, pride, and failures swirled in his mind. As preparations were made to return to Caliban, he turned once more to the ancient machine and gave his command. With him went Holguin, the Deathbringer of the Deathwing. Together they vanished into the void.
Yeah, man, that empire did not last long. And honestly, like that's kind of the way it goes. You got these massive characters, like massive personalities that while can work beside each other, ultimately when it comes to like who really does have the final say on a matter? Titles are all well and good, but all these people are going to be driven by their own willpower, despite what any other Primarch says. So,
yeah,
It's also
and they're kind of. Oh, go ahead, Chris.
It's also interesting to note for all the Emperor haters out there about like, okay, if these 3 Primarchs couldn't keep something together, even a fraction of the size of the Imperium, how much more did the Emperor achieve with his conquest and forging the Imperium? So,
Yeah.
Because these 3 would have been like, they are essentially the big 3 loyalists. Maybe you could toss on like somebody else, like maybe Lim and Russ you could add in this, but
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, but pretty much, these are the top.
But they're at the point of not desperation, but they're caught on their heels. They're trying to do this as best they can, and like Conrad Kurz is fucking shit up and behind their back.
I was just gonna say,
still maybe dead.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just gonna say, like, it also took like one of their traitor brothers to just snake their way in and just like basically rip it all asunder.
Yeah. And isn't that lesson for me to learn that you don't have to destroy 500 worlds? You can just destroy one relationship, and then that's over.
Right. Yeah. So then, at the very moment, as Sanguinius prepared to pass sentence on Kurz, the lion and his lieutenant emerged by teleportation into the chamber. The angel, surprised but unshaken, raised his hand to halt the execution. Surrounded by armed guards demanding his surrender, the lion instead spoke, not with force, but with conviction. He reminded his brothers of Kurz's gift of foresight, the grim prophecy of his death at the hands of an imperial assassin. If that fate was true, then the emperor still lived. Sanguinius, bearer of vision himself, understood, for he too had seen the terrible moment that awaited him, his death at the hands of Horus. He recognized the truth in the lion's words, and with that recognition came a renewed hope. When Guilliman demanded the Night Haunter's fate, the lion dropped to one knee and offered his vow. He would become the jailer of their fallen brother, and bear that burden until destiny itself released them. So some repentance there on the lion's part. It's good. I think if we had left it where he's just like he's fucked off and leaves, and he's sword broken, spanked, and made to leave, it just would not be as cool.
Yeah. Well, it shows even just like how good Sanguinius is at just like his personality, his aura. Like you just don't want to be mad at the guy.
Mm-hmm.
I did find a nice little Sanguinius quote that kind of highlights like that, but also kind of draws attention to like that inner rage within him too. This is, I think, this was addressed to, I think, his legion, if I'm not mistaken. It is not the descent toward the shadow, nor the rise toward the light that makes us superior. It is the endless struggle between the two that greatness of character lies. We are tested, and we do not break. We will never fall.
Yeah. I love that. He thinks of his death, and he's like, you know what? Renewed hope. I like that. Where we've talked about the opposite of how Kurz deals with his death, knowledge of his death, and he doesn't handle it well. But Sanguinius, he's like, yeah, no, I'm going to shoulder this burden. Like, let's keep going. Like, there's more. Thank you, Space Jesus.
Yeah. I gotta say, I struggle with that ending there with like, no, we can't kill him because fate has decided that he shouldn't die yet. And it just seems like such a bad cop-out. I have to say it does not sit well with me.
It needed to happen, but I think they need to play it up a little bit more of like it versus it just being like, oh wait, actually we need to talk about this. I think you're right in that sense. Like it just feels a little out of character. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yeah, we can't die off just yet.
Yeah, like the writers put themselves in the corner, and then this is our way out.
Yeah,
fate has decided. You mean the authors have decided that they Can't kill Kurz yet. Yeah.
Sure.
I'll call it when I see it, when I'm not happy.
His best. Yeah.
Kind of. No, I won't go down that road. Okay. Let's move on. Let's move on a great pilgrimage. Following the trial of Kurz, Sanguinius, Lionel Johnson, and Robert Gilliman resolved to attempt the near impossible, to pierce the howling madness of the Ruinstorm and reach Terra, spurred onward by the revelation that the Emperor still lived. Yet, Sanguinius was no longer untouched by the dark tides. He had begun to feel the early stages of the Black Rage take root within his noble soul, stirred by ever more vivid and harrowing visions of his own death. In a moment of prophetic anguish aboard the Red Tear, is it Red Tear or Red Terror? That always baffled me when reading the book.
I would
say Red Tear, maybe.
That's what I'll go with.
Either one could theoretically work if you know that the Blood Angels are very into close combat, but yeah.
I just think, like, when you think of the Blood Angel symbol, it's like the blood drop. But it's like, why would you call it blood drop versus like it's a blood tear?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I'm gonna lean towards that side, but still, whenever I read it in the novel, I kept reading it and it just flip flop in my mind. Is that Red Tear or Red Tear? Anyways, that's his flagship, the Red Tear. He nearly struck down one of his own sons, overcome by desperation to spare his legion the fate he foresaw descending upon himself. Still searching for meaning, for a way to save them all, Sanguinius pressed forward. So yeah, he's already so overcome by the Black Rage that he actually kills one of his own sons. And knowing Sanguinius and knowing his compassion and deep love for his sons, like, that's pretty harrowing. As the fleet journeyed through the Ruinstorm, it encountered grotesque manifestations of the warp and heard whispers of a monstrous entity known as the Pilgrim, leaving ruin in its wake. During the Battle of Pyrrhon, Sanguinius received a vision that compelled him to return to the cursed world where the nightmare had begun, Davin. Gilliman and the Lion, though reluctant and inclined toward purging the world entirely, placed their faith in the angel's foresight. Upon arrival, they beheld Davin encased in a titanic shell of bone, the necrosphere. For listeners who are just joining us or who aren't familiar with the world of Davin, that is the planet where Horus was first corrupted.
Yeah, they had like a whole cult going on there, and we don't want to go too much into it, but like that planet's marked with darkness for sure.
And now has a cute little bone shell built around it. After breaching it through bombardment, the fleet descended into orbit. Without warning, Sanguinius boarded the Invincible Reason and seized Conrad Kurz, believing the tortured Primarch's visions might help guide his path. When the Dark Angel guards attempted to stop him, Sanguinius disarmed them with restrained, non-lethal force, still committed to his honor. With Kurz in his custody, he led a mass landing upon the desecrated world, even as the enraged Lion came close to ordering its total destruction, despite Sanguinius' presence. Upon Davin's dead surface, drop pods rained down, but the world offered only silence and emptiness. At last, the four Primarchs came upon the unholy temple where Horus had been transformed. Within, Sanguinius approached the altar that had twisted his brother's soul, and with steady voice declared his intent to defy fate and forge a new destiny. I'll get back to that in a sec. The world answered. Warp storms howled, and portal yawned open, pulling Sanguinius inside. On the other side, he beheld a vision of Terra as it had never been, a serene garden where he stood triumphant over the traitor Primarchs. Lorgar slain by his hand, and the Emperor proclaiming him Imperator Regis. But to Sanguinius, burdened with foresight, the illusion unraveled. With clarity of spirit, he struck down the false Emperor, revealing the demon Madail behind the guise. So yeah, again, another kind of the warp, demons, chaos, they all obviously kind of lie to you and show you visions. This is kind of what also got Horus entrapped, is like demons can take the form of, people you know, people you love, important figures of power. They manipulate you. Like, it should go without saying, but for those inexperienced with demons, they tend to lie and trick
For those
you.
who haven't dabbled.
Yeah.
Oh man, you guys ever been
Either
in
they
an
lie or
exorcism
they-
before?
Either they lie or they actually tell the truth, but know you enough that you might react the wrong way with it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, if they tell you the truth, it's almost worse, eh?
Yeah. So kind of going back to like Sanguinius when he's on this like tear about defying fate. So this is why I struggle, because he's like, okay, now we don't care about fate that's written in prophecy. His whole thing is about defying it. Then he should have slain Kurz.
I
But-
feel like this was like the demon though bleeding into him. Like it was extra heavy at this moment. This was maybe really the only time where he tries to defy it in this way. I'm reaching. I'm with you, man. Like, yeah, okay.
But killing a fellow Primarch has not really been done at this point. Like, that is such a right. I mean, at this point, no
One would have happened. Ferris Manus would have been.
Yeah, at the very least, the drop site massacre.
Yeah.
But okay, but in I'll say Imperium has not slain a traitor Primarch.
Yeah.
So
True.
I know we keep throwing it out like, oh, he should have just killed Kurz, and like, yeah, maybe, but like that is such a big deal, and isn't that kind of the thing that's keeping them? I don't want to say the good guys, but like that's the difference. That is the difference.
Okay, Batman.
It is, man.
You can explain it to all the dead civilians.
Look, I
No,
understand.
it's a great way to say it. Like, good guys are often afraid to wield power. You're afraid of the consequences. But oftentimes, in order to maintain good, you have to wield some sort of power. Where bad guys have no problem wielding power against you. So, yeah, I get what you're saying, where they're fighting the Primarchs with their arms tied behind their back. Because they're not trying to kill their fallen brothers, you know? Like,
Yeah.
Maybe we should talk to the Emperor before we start killing his sons. It has to be going in the back of the mind at least a little bit.
Well, even that, regardless if they believe the Emperor is alive or not, I still just don't think that their
Still a big deal.
mentality is, yeah, like, let's just kill him. Because that's the thing that separates them from the heretics. That's one of the things that really does, is that there is not a willingness to kill their brothers. Whereas I see you smiling, Christian, like this is, but like that's
He's willing to kill his brothers. That's
he
why he's
would kill
smiling.
any one of us. You know what I mean? He'd be
Without
like,
even a
"Fuck this."
thought.
Boom. Yeah. So I think
you did,
that's the big key moment, is like they just do not resort to that.
Yeah.
You're not selling me, but well,
That's because you're a murderous prick, and you would kill any one of us.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
In order to save one of your 10 children, wouldn't matter which one.
Yeah.
Oh, now you just complicated it, Mark. Why does it need to be a reason?
I'd do it for
This-
fun or not.
This is why he will lead the Lord
Do it
Hammer
for the
Heresy
thrill.
first. I have audio proof.
All right, back to Sanguinius. Sanguinius and Madail clashed in brutal combat, even as a tide of demonic horrors poured from the portal to halt the other Primarchs. As Guilliman and the Lion fought side by side against the monstrosities, Sanguinius was beset by waves of demons and Madail's poisoned words. The Archfiend tempted him, offering the title of War Master of Chaos and a promise that the Black Rage would be lifted from his sons. In his compassion and conviction, Sanguinius rejected the offer. Breaking free, he plunged both the blade and carmine and spear of Telesto into Madail, and the two grappled as they tumbled into the shifting limbo between worlds. Seeing their brother caught between the Materium and Immaterium, Guilliman and the Lion tried to reach him, but were stayed by the demonic horde. Until Sanguinius' own herald stepped forward, understanding the fate that now awaited him, the herald volunteered to take his master's place. Sanguinius, recognizing destiny's call, solemnly accepted. The herald transformed into the shining form of the Sanguinor and hurled himself and Madail back into the portal. With the temple collapsing, the Primarchs barely escaped.
Couple quick thoughts. I love all the imagery we get. Like, I just keep picturing the angel and then putting him into like this he's falling through the darkness, battling this black formless shape type thing. Like, it's just so iconic. Anytime you put him anywhere, it's just so like, yes, I love it. The other thing that kind of came to me when writing this was the whole Sanguinius situation. I remember a time when that concept wasn't even a thing, and I don't honestly know too much about it, but in the coming episodes, I think we should touch deeper on the Sanguinius specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just also for reference, the Sanguinius is around in 40k. So
Yeah,
just for
prominent.
reference.
I did listen to a lore tuber one time. He said, with the exception of Horus, you could, in some very roundabout ways, bring back even the dead Primarchs in the 40k. I would not think that's a good idea, but he did make some interesting theories about it, and one of them involved the Sanguinius.
Yeah, there were a few theories, because the Sanguinius came out before the story of the Sanguinius came out, so there were a number of theories floating around. As like, well, who is he? He has almost this like mystical, spiritual aspect to him. Is he a ghost? Is he the return of a Primarch? What is he?
Yeah.
If we're really gonna get religious with it, it feels like it's a bit of the Holy Spirit, and like we're getting a sacrifice here, like Sanguinius's herald, which I'm assuming is basically, just based on Googling, like the guy that's literally holding the chapter's banner. Like he's kind of like the banner guy, and he's the kind of that chosen rank. Basically decides like, no, I will take this sacrifice, and so does, and like transforms into this shining version. It's like sacrifice begets holiness. And so we get a little bit of that parallel of like the Judeo-Christian themes of like, boom, there we go, sacrifice, holiness, forgiveness, all that. So
yeah, I got a good joke for you. 3 blood angels try to walk into a bar, but none of them get in because they're all trying to hold the door open for each other, trying to like, I got this, brother.
After you. No, after you. I insist. Yeah.
Trust me, I've seen it in my future that I'm not the one to go through this door first.
Meanwhile, Conrad Kurz is going through the back doors. Like,
I'm gonna kill the first blood angel that comes in here.
Shit.
In Davin's wake, a rent in the Ruinstorm was made clear, an open road to Terra. But even this act of hope had been anticipated. Horus had foreseen their approach, and a mighty blockade stood ready to deny them. Guilliman and the Lion resolved to draw away the enemy, while Sanguinius led the Blood Angels on the direct course to Terra, embracing the path laid before him by fate. He took Kurz aboard the Red Tier, declaring the fallen Primarch would face justice in the Emperor's light. Yet, in private, Sanguinius confessed that he would not deny Kurz his destiny either, that of death at the hands of an Imperial assassin. With that, he sealed the broken Night Haunter in a stasis coffin and cast him into the stars, his roar of fury fading behind the angel, who had already turned toward the greater storm that awaited him at Terra.
I love it that that's like the move. If you don't know what to do something, just seal it up, launch it into a star.
Fucking jettison it into the
Imperium's
galaxy.
done that a number of times, you know.
I remember for the Conrad Kurz episode, I actually read the excerpt that led up right into that moment. So go back to that episode to hear that excerpt. It is peak Sanguinius talk there.
Cool. Yeah. And then we arrive at the Battle of Terra. The Blood Angel's most defining hour came in the final tragic days of the Horus Heresy. Recounted by Imperial annals as the Battle of Terra, this climactic struggle unfolded upon the cradle of mankind, where the War Master Horus led the hosts of chaos against the last loyal defenders of the Imperium. At the Emperor's side stood the remnants of his faithful sons, though many of the loyalist legions, wayward or waylaid by treachery and warp-born stratagems, could not reach Terra in time to lend their strength to its defense. Yet the Imperial fists had returned, and under the unwavering command of Primarch Rolgadorn, had labored with tireless resolve to fortify the Emperor's palace. The White Scars, led by bold Jakati Khan, also reached Terra despite a strangely ineffective ambush by the Alpha Legion's fleet. These scattered yet valiant defenders ready themselves for siege unlike any other. At this point, it's just 2 legions, man. That's a fun state to be in for the fists and the can and everything. Like, you don't know what's out there, but you know there's still a lot of traitor legions that are going to be rolling up on your door. Eventually, though, the Blood Angels too emerged from the void in time, guided by duty, resolve, and perhaps by Sanguinius' own prophetic instinct. Of the 9 surviving loyalist legions, only the Blood Angels and the White Scars were able to stand beside the Imperial Fist when the traitor legions descended upon the Sol system. With them came the indomitable engines of 3 Titan legions and close to 2 million brave souls of the Imperial army. The host of humanity stood shoulder to shoulder with their demigod champions, preparing to defy annihilation. Yet, for all their courage, for every burden borne by Sanguinius and his surviving brothers, the traitor's tide drove inexorably forward. Too soon, the Emperor found himself besieged within his own palace, bound to the Golden Throne, and as he waged the hidden war in the webway deep within the Imperial dungeon. Amid this collapse, the Blood Angels took their place upon the walls, unwavering, their spirits undimmed by despair. Besides the unyielding resolve of the Imperial Fist, the dying gallantry of the Imperial army, and the grim silence of the Legio Custodes, Sanguinius' sons stood as radiant defenders of the Imperium's soul. To this day, the great stained glass window of the Sanctus Praetoria Imperator captured the moment of the angel in flight, his blade alight, his wings spread wide, striking demons whose very words could unravel the minds of heroes. Alone, Sanguinius held the walls against nightmares made flesh, barring them from desecrating the Emperor's sacred chambers. In countless accounts, the Blood Angels are honored for their unbroken courage, especially at the Eternity Wall spaceport, where they bled to hold back the infernal flood. Hundreds perished, yet their sacrifice held firm. Witness speak of celestial glow upon the battlefield, as if Sanguinius himself was a beacon, and his blade a falling star of judgment. Yeah, it's a fun last stand. One of my favorite things to do in video games on first-person shooters is where they have like survival mode or horde mode or last stand. Like Gears of War had a great one where me and you, Christian, we played a lot, pretending we're Space Marine scouts battling orcs or whatever nonsense during the Great Crusade. But yeah, this is kind of like that moment for them where it's like, this is the final best all-time greatest last stand. Either they win or they don't, and ballads and triumphs are going to be sung, or they will be wiped away for all time.
The culmination for sure.
Space Marines are prone to last stands.
Yeah. No, guys, seriously, this is the last one. I promise. This is it. The Space Marines are very much like an aging, like classic rock band or an 80s metal band where it's like, this is the final tour. And you're like, oh shit, I gotta go see him. Okay, all right. Buy tickets at $100. And then like 3 years later, farewell tour. Like, well, I just thought you said that was the final one. Like, this is the farewell tour. Okay. And then it's like,
hey. Ozzy had his final tour. Yeah. And you know what happened right afterward.
But to be fair, I went and saw Black Sabbath on their final tour. So
they had a couple, yeah.
They had a couple. And how many fucking times has Kiss done it? Like, I think they might be the masters of the we're done. Just kidding. Hang on. We need more money. This time we're going to do it. Okay.
I know Motley Crue can give them a run for their money.
That's true. And I even opened up for Motley Crue once. Fun fact. So, but we'll leave that for another time. It was 2015, 16.
I might have been at that. I might have been at one of those concerts.
It was one show we did it, but we'll leave that for the Get to Know Your Hosts episode or something.
Oh, very well.
Yeah. But yeah, how many times are we going to have this? This is the last stand, the final stand, the ending stand. I promise this is the last one stand. Yeah.
You guys got to stop putting yourself in precarious situations. You got to
This is
start
it.
thinking things
I mean
through.
I'm counting to 10. I'll do it.
I'll last stand right here, right now.
And I think Fuzz makes a good fun comment here. Like, damn it, Jeff, we had 3 last stands a week ago. Like, I could just see like on the front lines, like the last stand. No, shut up. We're not doing this. No, well,
We've had first last
I
stand.
thought
But
this
what
was
about
gonna be our
second
last
stand?
stand.
That one already.
yes, yes, that wins.
Classic.
That wins. That was great. Oh, whew. All right. Siege of Terra continued. Here we go. So, yet even amid such glory, the Primarch's destiny would take him higher still. For it was not upon Terra's blood-soaked stone, but aboard the War Master's battle barge in orbit that Sanguinius would fulfill his fate. During the siege, the monstrous bloodthirster Kabanda came once more to challenge the angel, this time before the great eternity gate that led to the inner palace. The demon struck Sanguinius down, casting him upon shattered marble. Wounded and weary, the Primarch summoned the last of his divine strength. With solemn fury, he seized Kabanda by limb and talon, rose aloft the fire-scorched skies, and broke the creature's back across his knee in a single thunderous crack. With a final cry, yeah, dude, fucking rad. Like we're all about backbreaking here. We're about it. Yeah.
But Hottie, L4, leave it alone. He just got it back. Leave his poor L4 alone.
With a final cry of defiance, he hurled the demon into the ranks of its kin, sealing the gate and halting the storm of chaos for a moment longer.
Damn. Yeah, one of the coolest, most iconic moments of all of 40K, you know? Fire blackened skies.
What do you got, Gerald?
In true to fashion, I have a quote pulled up for this exact moment. It is very short. Don't worry. If you truly do hail from the realm of that men once called hell, when you return there, tell your kindred of Sanguinius who threw you back.
Go!
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Okay, did I just become gay?
That's
Maybe.
so cool.
We'll come back to that in another episode. To get to know your host, we'll unravel that whole thing. But fucking coolest moment ever, man. Sanguinius, like, just rises up after he's been battling demons for potentially days or weeks, and every challenger that comes against him, he banishes back to the warp. His wings are singed and, like, you know, they're not broken, but you can tell he's like, oh my god, he's angry.
Yeah. And this is his moment against Kabanda. Like, this is it. Yeah. This is the climax here. So cool. So cool. But even this noble victory could not turn the tide. Though the angel had preserved the palace a moment more, the fall of Terra loomed. The defenders endured still, but their hope, like their strength, began to fade. And Sanguinius, ever burdened by the weight of what was yet to come, read the final chapters written in flame and blood. In the shadow of what he believed would be a final victory, War Master Horus allowed arrogance to dull his caution. He remained aboard the vengeful spirit, the bloated, damned flagship from which he watched Terra burn, desiring to witness the Emperor's defeat with his own eyes, to see the master of mankind brought low, and to consume his soul in triumph. But then came dire news. The gamble had failed. The traitor legions had not moved swiftly enough. The Ultramarines and the Dark Angels and the Space Wolves were but hours from merging into the Sol system. So just, we kind of talk about, like, well, why the fuck wasn't everybody there? Horus knew that the Dark Angels and the Space Wolves would be kind of a big problem, and the Ultramarines. So it was kind of a distraction tactic, right? To get them, like, out of the fucking way and get them anywhere from far away from Terra.
Yeah, like Horus was only able to convince like half the galaxy to fall, which is quite the feat. But that means you can't just be trading one for one. You can't trade one legion for one. So yeah, you got to send some away. You know, you got to be sneaky with the way you're doing this.
Yeah. And
you also got to factor numbers into it too, which I actually pulled up a rough idea of like a numbers for each legion, but like at the beginning and at the end of the heresy. So, but we can go over that like near the end.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, Horus knows like if he gets the Ultramarines, the Dark Angels, and the Space Wolves on his ass there at Terra, he's probably fucked. Like it's not going to end well. So
Yeah.
their return would shatter the siege, if not utterly reverse its course. Yet Horus had one last card to play. He dropped the protective veil around his vessel. The psychic barriers and void shields fell. It was a challenge, an invitation. He dared the Emperor to come for him. Very cool. This is a great moment. I love this. This is the call out. This is the, all right, let's go.
Father!
Yeah, let's go. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
That-
I'm just picturing that fucking what is that Brad Pitt Trojan War movie? What is it called? Is it just called
Troy.
that?
Troy.
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 Yes. Fucking yes.
Literally just called Troy.
Yes.
What's that
yes.
Trojan War movie called again?
You know, the one with the
named
city
after a
Troy.
city. Yeah.
Yeah, there's that moment right now. It is just yelling basically like, you come. You better come here. Otherwise, you're going to be a bitch and I'm going to tell everyone.
I'm now getting this image of like the very opening of God of War 3 where Kratos is like, Zeus, I bring the destruction of Olympus.
Oh,
Except
fuck,
replace that
another
with
great
Horus.
moment. Yes. Fucking yes.
This is actually one of the improvements they did. Again, you know, the Horus Heresy wasn't super fleshed out before. It was a couple of paragraphs now turned into a whole novel series. And it was always strange in the Horus Heresy that like it was only like Horus's arrogance that he would drop his shields and like tempt the Emperor to come from. But it does make sense tactically that like Horus is pressed for time now. He's got a bunch of legions on his tail. They're coming, so he needs to like, okay, let's get this siege business over with. He needs to deal a fatal blow to the Emperor now. So that is one of the few things that they improved. And with that, we'll carry on with the Siege of Terra. But Sanguinius had long foreseen this moment. Burdened with the gift of prescience, he had glimpsed his final confrontation many times. When the Emperor initiated the teleportation to the Vengeful Spirit, Sanguinius and Rogel Dorn stood beside him, accompanied by chosen warriors of the Imperial Fists, Blood Angels, and Legio Custodes. The path ahead was wreathed in darkness, but the angel did not falter. He had seen what was to come. His soul, radiant and pure, had been marked since his birth with visions of sacrifice. And though he knew that his end awaited him aboard the hell-forged ship, Sanguinius walked forward without hesitation. Whether it was fate, loyalty, or divine duty that drove him, none among the Blood Angels doubt his choice. To them, it was not submission to death, but an act of perfect devotion. The battle aboard the cursed warship raged with unspeakable horror. Sanguinius, separated from his father and brothers by the warp-twisted corridors of the Vengeful Spirit, faced his doom alone. Through cunning, design, or cruel fate, he was brought before Horus. There, amidst the throne room now desecrated as Lupercal's court, the War Master, twisted by the favor of all four Chaos gods, offered Sanguinius one final chance to renounce the Emperor, to join the madness. But the angel would not yield. He answered not with hatred, but with sorrow, and stood resolute. Enraged by his final defiance, Horus struck. Though weary and wounded from his earlier battle with Kabanda, Sanguinius leapt to meet him. The battle was doomed from the first blow. Even had he been whole, Sanguinius could not have matched the power of that Horus had become, a living vessel for the will of chaos. Yet he fought. He fought not in hope of victory, but to delay the inevitable, to buy his father one heartbeat more.
Jeez.
One other thing to mention too is right after he fights Kabunda, he also gets into a fight with Angron right after that. Demon Angron. So dude is just like slaying his way through demons, his own demon brother, and now he's going up the face against Horus. He is not having a good day.
Yeah.
I love that he never breaks, and even like he doesn't give into the black rage at this moment, which would be a type of break, and especially for him, no, he's just like that. Resolve is firm.
Yeah. If I can just indulge myself here and just kind of go into this moment, I did listen to the audio form of The Death in the End Part 2 with this battle, and it is fucking brutal. Like the battle between Horus and Sanguinius is at times hard to read or hard to listen to. It is just really detailed and brutal. It's really cool though. So I don't want to spoil too much. I mean, we kind of know what happens, but like detail wise, but essentially like what's really cool is there's this moment where Horus tries to convince Sanguinius to join him. It's like his last kind of effort of like, will you sit at the throne that I made for you? He literally has a throne made like for Sanguinius. Like this could be your place. Cool. Yeah. And he's like, this could be yours. And
here's some cool wings, leathery bat wings.
Yeah.
Come on,
buddy. and he kind of already knows like it's not going to happen. Like Sanguinius will not relent. And so they fight and whatnot. Sanguinius is Horus is huge. Like they do Dan Abnett does a fantastic job of just giving you the imagery of this big fucking brutal horrifying beast that is Horus, and he's fast too. Like he's a big brute, but he is fast, but he is not as fast as Sanguinius. Like Sanguinius is diving down, he's flying up, diving down, slashing here, cutting there, getting a little hit, and then Horus is like dodging a little bit and then blocking. But it is just a constant flurry of blows. Like I'm not a big anime guy, but like I would assume that would be pretty similar to
Dragon Ball.
Yes, just like just flurry, huge. And they have moments where they like look at each other, and like there's a moment where like Horus sheds one tear, like because he knows that this will not end the way that it kind of should. And this is where I probably will start getting emotional. So listening to it, it was really tough. But Sanguinius is basically about to kill Horus. Like he has just constantly hit him. He's struck some really good blows. He's like got him bleeding. He's gasping. All of this, and it's cool because they write. Dan Abnett writes back and forth from like a third party perspective and then also from Horus's perspective. So you're getting this like inner monologue of like, like I should be better. I am this, da 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 da. And then at one point he kind of like goes, but I'm holding back. And then it switches. And so Sanguinius is literally standing above him, ready to do the killing blow, swings perfectly down, like ready, this most merciful kill, swift, fast, boom, kill his brother Horus, and ching, he blocks it. Horus blocks the sword, and then they go toe to toe. And now Horus is no longer quote unquote holding back, which it feels a little bit cop-outy at times. But
we could come back to that after your story. Yeah.
Okay. So Horus grabs Sanguinius with his claw, like grabs him by the ankle, and with one yank, boom, smashes him to the ground and shatters part of the floor, shatters marble. It's like a crater basically. And this whole time the room has just been destroyed by their blows. Like Horus is just swinging, smashing pillars, all this shit. And he brings him down and nearly kills him in this one pull. Like Horus grabs his ankle and whips him down, smashes him. Sanguinius loses consciousness for a moment. He's just bleeding out his mouth, his eyes, all this, like his hair is matted with blood, everything. And he, like, you get this moment of like, oh my God, is this his death? But it's not. He stands up, and then Horus, they keep going back and forth a little bit, but Horus proceeds to beat the ever living fuck out of him. Dan Abnett says like he beats him like a dog. Like he just
is brutal writing it, man.
Brutal.
Like...
Oh, It's
Yeah.
rough. It's rough. So I know we kind of I don't want to say gloss over it, but like the death of Sanguinius, like we all know it happens, but I seriously encourage you to listen to it, read it, whatever, because it's pretty fucking brutal. Yeah.
Yeah. You talk about like that Horus decides finally to kill him or decides to like unleash his potential. We kind of were talking about that earlier though, about how the bad guys were more willing to push that line of like, well, how much power, how much bad am I going to do to get more power or whatever. And yeah, up until that point, it's interesting that he wasn't fully like on that path, but everyone, I guess.
And it's like the back and forth a little bit with, I don't want to say like the true Horus, but there's this conflict of like, you hear it like I should be doing better. I am perfect. Why is he even striking me? And then it's this kind of like, well, wait, why am I even letting him? Like, was I doing it just to like see what would happen? And part of it is like, he's almost doing it to relish the defeat of Sanguinius, like almost like
like
almost
the show of it almost.
Yeah, the show, like almost letting him get to that point, just so when he does defeat him, he like sips it like a fine fucking wine. Like it goes into this almost like Anne Rice like detail of like the blood on his lips dripping and the pupils dilating in fear, and he almost just like gets really excited and I don't want to say turned on like in a sexual way, but he's like really turned on by this, like, I have defeated him and I will slay him and I will bring him low. Ooh. It is. Yeah. It's rough, dude. So sorry. I just got emotional chills there.
Shake it off.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into more of the Siege of Terra. We just talked about Sanguinius' death, which is it's fucking brutal. I cried listening to it. So there. The death there we go. Okay. All right. The death that followed was more than brutal. It was agony shaped by gods. Horus tore the angel apart with blasphemous cruelty. Yep. Across space and through time, the Primarch's final cry resonated, a psychic shock that echoed through the blood of every one of his sons. The echo would never fade. But in death, Sanguinius achieved what no one else could. He delayed Horus just long enough. When the Emperor at last reached the bridge of the vengeful spirit, he found the War Master standing triumphant over the broken. Okay. No, we're there now, guys. All right. He found the War Master standing triumphant over the broken, lifeless form of his son. There, the final reckoning took place. The Emperor struck down Horus, but only at a great cost. His own form shattered. He was near death. And though the details of that last duel are clouded by time and legend, one truth remains clear. Through all the ages, Horus could not have been defeated had Sanguinius not first struck a weakness into the traitor's corrupted armor. Yeah, 100%.
I love the mythos. I talked about it on the last previous episode, just like the myth and the legend of Sanguinius. And this is another perfect example of like, ever since day one, that chink in the armor has always given us hope, that's how it happened. There's just so much great myth built into them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because of this, the sons of Baal know their father to be the greatest of all the Primarchs. The suffering Sanguinius endured in his final moments was not his alone. It became part of his children. Imprinted upon their souls and encoded into their very blood, the pain of his passing birthed a torment that would shape the Ninth Legion forever. Through the black rage and the red thirst, the blood angels still relive his death, caught in visions of his final stand. And thus, their nobility is forever bound to his sacrifice. In bearing these curses, their honor They honor the angel's memory and remind the Imperium that salvation was bought not just with strength, but with grace, vision, and the quiet of one who saw his death embraced it for others. Whew. So yeah, that is pretty emotional.
Yeah. I kept it pretty PG.
Yeah,
but
yeah. Just to kind of go into this just a little bit more, and then we'll keep going.
Yeah.
But and maybe we talk about it. Did we talk about like what happens when Sanguinius dies, and then them nailing him up and all that stuff?
Yeah, I was gonna mention that. Like, yeah,
Okay.
he gets crucified, and man, when writing it, it was honestly giving me like flashbacks to being like, I think I was in grade 10, grade 11, and watching Passion of the Christ. I'm sure all you have watched it. Yeah. And like when writing it, it was just like, oh my goodness, yeah, and I couldn't get any more details.
Yeah. Yeah, just to kind of gloss over a little bit. Yeah,
You can, yeah.
basically like demons descend upon Sanguinius and just like, and it's almost like the chaos gods themselves, but like they nail him up, like literally just on a ritual altar. And the black rage is now just clicks into all the blood angels, and they see this. They have
Yikes.
nightmares in that instant moment of seeing their Primarch die and like living it themselves.
Yeah, meanwhile, they're still down on Terra fighting.
Yeah.
When this is happening, like unaware. Yeah, fuck.
There's really cool writing on it too. I think it's Dan Abnett again, but talking about like there's times where like, you know, one of the blood angels is like losing the battle, and this clicks in, and he like drops his chainsword and starts ripping apart all the enemies. Just like, oh, that turned. Yeah. And this makes me want to do a Death Company army. Like
Yeah.
it's
really making lemonade out of some lemons, I think, you know? Best of a bad situation. Yeah, he died, but it makes me really mad, and I'll kill all my enemies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So the aftermath of this crazy, honestly, like go like Court said, go listen to that if you really want to get some shivers. If you don't want to sleep at night, they did a great job of just fucking like brutalizing them. It was tragic. The aftermath. The Imperium was irrecoverably altered in the aftermath of Horus's defeat. No longer would the Emperor stride among mankind as its guiding force in war, for his shattered form now endured only through the sustaining agony in the Golden Throne. The burden of rebuilding his realm, of driving back the remnants of the traitor legions, would now rest upon the shoulders of those few Primarchs who remained. Stalwart figures such as Rogaldorn of the Imperial Fists and Reboot Guilliman of the Ultramarines. It was Guilliman who would leave the most profound mark upon the Blood Angels in the wake of their grief. Through the Codex Astartes, his grand doctrine for the reformation of Space Marines, he sought to safeguard the Imperium from the rise of another war master. Guilliman's vision demanded that no single being ever be able to wield the full might of a legion. Thus, he decreed the division of the legions Astartes into smaller autonomous chapters of 1,000 warriors each. In those fragile, raw days following the heresy, this mandate stirred resentment. To many, it seemed a condemnation of their loyalty and a dismantling of the very brotherhoods that had been bled for the Imperium. Rather, emotions ran high, suspicious simmered, and for a brief, perilous moment, Guilliman's edict threatened to fracture the Imperium anew. But in time, the resistance gave way, and the Loyalist legions, now mourning and spent, accepted the decrees. The legions became chapters, and a new age begun. For the Blood Angels, this sundering struck with a cruel weight. Their beloved Primarch, Sanguinius, noble, radiant, selfless, had fallen at the hands of Horus in the final, fated confrontation. There was no time to mourn, no moment to count the cost. Their tightly woven brotherhood, already reeling from terrible losses at Terra, was now commanded to fragment. They had no clear leader, and worse, the first signs of their genetic doom had begun to surface. The legacy of Sanguinius' sacrifice was more than sorrow. It was a wound etched into their very souls, the trauma of their battles at Cygnus Prime, where they had faced the horrors of demon and the lies of chaos, left its marks on their spirits. In its wake stirred a hunger, a curse born of blood and grief, and when their father fell, slain by Horus in the final act of unthinkable cruelty, the psychic shock echoed through every one of his sons. From this agony bloomed the Black Rage, a madness that trapped its victims in the final moments of Sanguinius's death. The heresy had ended, but for the Blood Angels, the true trial had only begun. Yeah, now they have that internal battle that every Blood Angel will eventually face if left alone long enough.
Yeah. And it shows how key Sanguinius was, and their their psychic link, his psychic link with his legion, which all Primarchs really kind of have, like that he was keeping this at bay.
Yeah.
Like he was really kind of keeping it in check just by him being alive. And then once he's gone,
Yep. That flick switches.
Yeah.
Chris, you can read this next part.
All right. The second founding. Out of this darkness, the second founding was born. While each legion confronted its own way of division, and some endured even greater turmoil, the Ninth Legion found purpose through the Council of Azkelion, the last surviving member of the Sanguinary Guard. Azkaellon. Though accounts differ, all agree that it was Azkaellon's steady hand and quiet strength that guided the remnants of the Legion through their grief. Under his leadership, a small number of successor chapters were formed, each entrusted as champions of the Blood Angels, who bore the memory of Sanguinius with reverence. These new brotherhoods carried forward the rites, rituals, and honor of their parent legion, reshaping them into distinct identities, yet all bound by shared blood and sorrow. Among them rose the Flesh Terrors, led by the fierce and haunted Nasir Ahmed. Even in the earliest years of their founding, his chapter launched relentless crusades against the remnants of the traitor forces. Their fury was unmatched, and their violence spoke of a pain they could not silence. In those first bloody campaigns, the Flesh Terrors carved a reputation that would define them for millennia to come, both as avengers and as a warning. And so, in the ashes of loss and the long shadow of Sanguinius' death, the Blood Angels and their kin sought to endure, honoring the angel not through lament, but through the struggle to remain noble in a galaxy that had grown darker still.
I do love this little time period of the second founding of just like who they start nominating to go to which chapter to lead and how they like discover their own heraldry and stuff. If that was like the chapter master or somebody's heraldry that they then took on and make the chapter. Like Sigismund's a good example where you kind of had like the Black Templar squads or whatever that kind of then obviously became the Black Templar. Or they were just the Templar squads originally. Sorry, not the Black Templar squads, but yeah.
It's really interesting how they choose to divvy up their chapters and like who will be in charge of these new chapters. And like in Amit's case, like Amit was known to be like a firebrand even amongst the Blood Angels. So like the Flesh Terrors are really, kind of match his ferocity.
They got like the wizard sorting hat going on. Like, what house are you going up to be a part of?
Are they assigning the new like chapter names too? Like, okay, and the Flesh Terrors is going to go to Amit. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
All right, we got 10 words here and 10 words here. You can pick two. So we got Blood Tear, we got Blood Feast. You can mix and match any two.
Yeah, or do you
just stick to a theme?
Do you just get assigned? So it's like, all right, Nasir Ahmed, you've got a secondary chapter. Okay, good. And then he like goes in the corner like with like 10 of his guys. Like, all right, guys, what do you want to call this? What are we thinking? And then Steve's like, I don't know, like the Blood Drinkers. Like, no, that's stupid. We will never do that. That's a stupid fucking idea. Later on, it happens.
They all laugh.
Yeah, but they like do it later on too. And like, how about the Flesh Terrors? Okay, cool. We're going with the Flesh Terrors. And they're like, okay, cool, Flesh Terrors. We got Flesh Terrors over here.
I loved it from the beginning. First time I heard it.
Yeah, perfect. And I always forget that Black Templars are not like a legion. That they're a secondary chapter.
Yeah.
They act like a legion, though.
I know.
Yeah. But very cool breakdown that the second founding. That'd be a fun episode to do and kind of
Mhm.
really do like, okay, what personality took this chapter and why, and kind of sort through that like that.
Mhm.
But let's talk about Sanguinius' personality.
I know, fun little segue there, talking about Space Marine personalities, and now we're talking about Sanguinius.
Yeah, that was the first like natural, intentional segue like that. So that's nice.
Gone are the days of the really bad segues now.
Yeah, you do too many of them, and well, you just run out. You're like, you get so bad you become good again. Is kind of what happens.
It comes and goes in cycles.
Exactly.
Okay. So Sanguinius' personality. During the Great Crusade, Sanguinius shone as a beacon of hope and grace amid the vast tumult of war. His presence was marked by a gentle nobility that inspired those around him, from his loyal blood angels to the common citizens of the countless worlds he sought to liberate. Compassionate, yet resolute, he led with both heart and steel, never shirking the heavy responsibilities of command, but always mindful of the lives entrusted to him. His honor was unquestioned, tempered by an innate humility and prophetic awareness of the burdens destiny had placed upon him. Though his angelic wings and radiant visage stirred awe and reverence, it was his kindness and unwavering devotion to the Emperor's vision that truly defined him, setting a standard that would echo through the ages. When the galaxy was plunged into darkness of the Horus Heresy, Sanguinius' noble spirit bore an even greater weight. The shadow of betrayal and the impending doom he foresaw marked him with a profound, almost tragic burden. Yet despite the growing despair and the horrors he witnessed, he remained steadfast and compassionate, serving as a rallying light for the loyalists around him. His prophetic visions of his own death and the fate of the Imperium did not weaken him, but steeled his resolve to face the coming storm with courage and dignity. Sanguinius carried the heavy knowledge of sacrifice not as a curse, but as a sacred duty. His final acts of valor embodying both the hope of salvation and the profound sorrow of a world on the brink of ruin.
Yeah. Yeah, he's pretty consistent. He's got that heavy despair, but he always kind of wakes up and beats it down. Like any man, every morning you gotta wake up, beat down that depression, and go to work.
That's right.
That powers and abilities of Sanguinius. He possessed powers that set him apart even among the other Primarchs, the superhuman sons of the Emperor. Most striking were his magnificent angelic wings, granting him, we've kind of read that many times. He's got fucking angel wings, which is tight. He can fly. I love it. One of those angel wings is measured at 1 meter long and is like as hard as steel. So it's sweet. It's awesome. The other thing he has is his foresight, which we've also talked about a whole bunch, where, it is waking up every day and knowing you got a horrible fate, but you still just get after it. I do really like the contrast of how Cruz and Sanguinius deal with the foresight. Are there any other Primarchs who have foresight? Like maybe Magnus has a little bit, but I don't think it's like predominant.
Did the Can have any kind of foresight or no? Can't remember.
I know Lehman Russ could always see that he was going to kick your ass.
That's just being cocky.
That's just,
Yeah, he's just telling himself. He's like, I've foreseen it.
I have foreseen this. I've got this.
Yeah, apparently only Magnus was the only one who had like somewhat controllable foresight. Yeah.
Mortarion. I don't know. We could play this game all night. There is an interesting note, as much as railing against fate, which is something I do in real life too. There is like a mythical quality to like, and this goes for all the Primarch stories of like fate and destiny and foresight, which often play roles in like human storytelling. Like everything from like the classics, like from ancient Greek myths, to like more current, and when I say current, I still mean hundreds of years old, like Shakespearean plays, like it is a very strong narrative tool. And then it even like today, like epics like Star Wars use foresight too as like and like fate as like impinging factors. So yeah, it speaks to like the broader like legendary and mythic storytelling.
And it's not even just storytelling necessarily. Like you can believe a lot of different things, but like, you know, there's strange things such as like prophecy or like palm reading. Maybe you could chalk into this a little bit with the really good ones, but you know, this ability to kind of tap into the future. Yeah, it can be a dangerous thing. You know, some people get addicted to even like looking into their own future, even though it's like up in the air. But
or is it? Is everything predetermined?
Nah, I fucking knew you were gonna say something like that, Christian. I knew he said, "Oh wait." Yeah.
I got a picture pulled up here of who is this? This is Alucard.
Alucard.
It's Dracula backwards, baby.
Oh shit!
Speaking of floating vampire Jesus.
Yeah.
Please tell me you can't unsee this now.
Yeah, we've moved on to the appearance section, so we decided to pull up him. Vampire Jesus.
So Alucard from Castlevania, for those who don't know, but yeah, so Sanguinius is basically like the embodiment of celestial grace and tragic destiny. He's in resplendent gold armor, gorgeous, and he's got the big white wings. There's like every now and then I think they like kind of show there's like black little feathers in there too sometimes, but yeah, he is fucking magnificent is what he is. He's gorgeous. He's got long blonde hair. He's beautiful. He is kind of the and I gotta say, like, the Emperor's got golden armor. Sanguinius has golden armor. Little bit of a thing there. Like, he is supposed to be kind of this angelic, perfect kind of creature. So
the icon, man.
The icon. He is the icon. And again, like, he was chosen to be the heir of the Imperium by Guilliman, I think, for kind of that reason too. Yeah. And
in this universe, prettiest little Primarch pageant, the award goes to Sanguinius.
Oh!
But don't worry, the runner-up is definitely Fulgrim.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he's cool, man. He's just iconic, man. You can pretty much pick up 40K and understand Sanguinius, who he is, what he's about, what his role in the story is instantly. Like, he's just an archetypal type character.
Yeah, maybe I seeing like the sometimes I see like the black feathers. That's not it. It's like he has like a leopard skin, like leopard pelt, like draped across him. Sometimes I think that's what it's.
Yeah, we talked about it in the last episode.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, it's called. It has a name too. It's a creature.
Chardodon, Chargot,
something like that. Something Adon. Yeah.
Chardodon.
I'm a cat killer, man.
I see a cat pelt and I fucking want it. Cool. And the last little bit is his pieces of war gear. He was able to pick up 2 new pieces during the Horus Heresy. The pistol Infernus, which is just a fucking badass Melta pistol type, singeing device. It might be a Volkite, but I think it's a Melta. I'm pretty sure it's a Melta. And then he's also got the Moon Silver Blade, which is just like this quick, you described like the fight between Horus and Sanguinius is quick, flashing, darting, like, and this Moon Silver Blade is like the iconic kind of weapon of that. Like, it's built for that. So he picked that up too. And it also had effects against demons. So pretty cool that way.
And it was built with this, allegedly, because it was given to him by Dorn, was built from the same alloy as the frame of the phalanx. So,
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool as shit.
He also has the Carmine, right? That's like
Yeah,
his
we
main.
talked about the
that's what I
blade
look
and
at.
carmine is his main sword, and then
Yeah.
the spear of Telesto is his main
yeah.
spear in the last
His
episode.
armor's named too. I forget what that's called, but
Oh,
we talked
dang.
about that the last episode. The Regalia Resplendent or something like that. But
Mm.
so the legacy of Sanguinius. First, he's the Imperial Saint of all Imperial Saints. You know, he's the great. The body of Sanguinius was recovered by the Emperor's forces as they withdrew from the ruined shell of Horus's flagship and returned to Terra. With reverence and mourning, the Blood Angels bore their fallen father across the stars to the homeworld of Baal. There, deep beneath the hollowed ground of their great chapel, they laid him to rest within a monumental tomb. Its entrance was crowned with towering statues in the likeness of angels, silent sentinels that watch forever over the resting place of the noblest of the Emperor's sons. Now, nearly 10,000 years since the solemn procession, Sanguinius remains one of the most beloved and venerated of the loyalist Primarchs. Across the Imperium, his name is spoken with awe and sacrifice, and his sacrifice is remembered as a turning point that enabled the Emperor to strike down the arch-traitor. To the billions of the Imperial's faithful, Sanguinius is a symbol of purity, duty, and unflinching courage. Temples have been raised in his honor, besides those of the Emperor himself, and his name is woven into the sacred liturgy of mankind's belief. On the day known as Sanguila, adepts across the star wear crimson emblems close to their hearts in honor of the angel sacrifice and mourn the light of the galaxies lost with his passing. And yet, for all the glory that surrounds his memory, the sons of Sanguinius continue to carry the shadow of his death. The Blood Angels endure under suspicion, their nobility stained in the eyes of others by the darkness that lies within them. The sorrow of the Primarch's fate echoes still in their soul, and with it lingers a hidden thirst, a terrible flaw born of grief and blood, and a burden they must bear in silence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mournful,
We did-
very sad.
Yeah, in the last episode, I did a lot. I did a lot of comparisons to Sanguinius, obviously with Michael the Archangel and like the Jesus motifs, and the whole Imperial holiday and sainthood, like, still kind of carries that on. Sanguinalia being jokingly, I don't know if it's in canon. I wouldn't say necessarily that it's like Christmas, but it has become like Christmas in like real world terms. It's like the biggest holiday of the Imperium, and it's similar, at least in name, to Saturnalia, which would have been close to the same time. So
Hallmark really benefits from it, from the card sales. Like, there's
And the
really
41st Millennium.
shitty, just like Hallmark original movies with some guy that you remember from like a TV show that he was kind of in, but now he's like a big deal on this thing. And so,
Yeah, nice. I like it. I'd watch that.
And also, fun fact for those that don't know or didn't see it, the opening cinematic for the 10th edition of 40K is Gilliman visiting Sanguinius' tomb after 10,000 years.
is it really?
Yeah, it's he goes to visit Sanguinius' tomb after the devastation of Baal, I think.
Oh, damn. I just
I
remember
do
it being like, he's like, we're supposed to be victorious, but we're actually losing. And then there's a bunch of Tyranids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn, I'll have to watch that again.
Oh yeah.
All right.
And I got that whole quote pulled up too, because he talks about he talks about like, this is supposed to be victory, but we were facing defeat. We were victorious, yet the galaxy was burning. That sort of
Yeah.
that whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
all right. And last of the legacies of Sanguinius is the Red Thirst and the Black Rage. The legacy of Sanguinius is inseparable from the blood curses that haunt his sons, the Black Rage and the Red Thirst, both born from the terrible weight of the Primarch sacrifice. Black Rage is a psychic torment that traps the minds of the Blood Angels in the final desperate moments of Sanguinius' death upon the vengeful spirit. Those afflicted are overcome by visions of their beloved Primarch's last stand, reliving his agony and courage in a maddening cycle of fury and despair. The torment is both a sacred reminder of their father's ultimate sacrifice and a devastating curse that drives warriors to savage fury, often at the cost of their own reason and lives. The Black Rage binds the Blood Angels to their past, a tragic inheritance of grief and valor that defines their very souls. And closely tied to this is the Red Thirst, the brutal and insatiable bloodlust born from the same genetic flaw that Sanguinius sought to conceal during his lifetime. This terrible hunger drives the Blood Angels and their successors to an unrelenting craving for blood and battle, a desperate struggle against the dark curse hidden within their genes. It is a constant gnawing burden, one that threatens to consume them if not carefully controlled through discipline, faith, and ritual. So yeah, and then the traditions of the Black Rage and the Red Thirst, they're kind of present in all kind of their successor chapters as well. So like we mentioned, the Flesh Terrors earlier, they will have a death company formed around people who are suffering from the Black Rage. They also all experience the Red Thirst, etc.
Even Primaris Marines, when they first came out, they weren't suffering from it, but now more and more are. So even like a refresh, and they're still genetically, spiritually kind of corrupted like that.
Yeah,
Good.
Yeah.
They should not fix it. It needs
Yeah,
everybody needs a flaw.
Same thing with the Canis. Same thing with the Canis Helix from the Space Wolves.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the Sanguinius episode. Episodes, 2 of them. Yeah, like a lot of fun, lots of iconic moments. I think I love the mythos of it all. And like, growing up Christian, as a Christian, there's so many comparisons. There's so many times I just, like that Passion of the Christ moment and Sanguinius's death. Like there's just so many times where that kind of happens, or he's crying on the ground and his teardrops create roses and just stuff like that. I loved all that myth woven through all of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you guys kind of like about Sanguinius?
I can say this as I'm not the biggest Blood Angels fan. I think everyone on the Warhammer Discord knows this, but it is very hard not to like Sanguinius and Dante. I'm sure we'll go over a deep dive on him whenever we get the chance, but Sanguinius is really, really cool as a Primarch. Again, even if you don't like his Legion or the Blood Angels chapter, he is a fantastically written Primarch.
Yeah, some great quotes.
I do like that his fame transcends just his Legion. Like he's well regarded across the Imperium as a whole. Like you said, he's like the first saint among saints. So like everyone has some regard for Sanguinius.
Yeah.
The selflessness, the resplendent just kind of nature. He's gorgeous and powerful and this just icon, but he's like humble and doesn't live into that. Like he lives into it that he is that icon. He's just but he's never like, yes, I know I am amazing.
Shower me in praises.
Yes, let me hear more. No, he's never that way, and he's very pure. I mean, I think that was kind of the idea, is like he's very pure in his visions. So I love it. Fucking honestly, dude. Like after listening to the part of his fight with Horus, and then listening to part of the Black Rage, like I really want to do a Death Company army, even if it's just like a combat patrol or just like a 1K. It's easy. It's black. It's a little red. Like I'm doing Space Wolves right now again. Like I'm getting my Space Wolves back. So we're getting there. But Blood Angels, they're cool. Sanguinius is rad. Don't bring him back, GW. Don't you ever bring him back. You hear me? He is dead. He is dead.
Do it. Oh man, wouldn't that just be a nightmare if that happened? I would wake up, check my phone, and just like boat off into the ocean, and no one ever saw Mark again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a way to undo the sacrifice.
Yeah, exactly. And like, now what? Does the Black Rage go away? Like, yeah, it just opens up a whole big can of worms that you don't want.
Man, they keep doing it. Star Wars does it. Halo just did it again with another character that just came back. That's been dead since like the very first books. Like it's terrible. Don't do it.
No,
Sergeant Dan?
Don't ruin my childhood, Christian. Don't.
I won't say it for spoiler purposes. Everyone can just live in ignorance and be happy.
Please. Yeah. Well, great episode, fun episode. No call-ins. Maybe I've been thinking about doing a call-in episode that people can just do like a Primarch call-in episode. You can talk to me about all your favorites. We tend to run out of time, but don't worry. There's always another episode. On the next episode, we'll dive deeper into his Legion, the Blood Angels, and we'll do 2 parts on that. Final thoughts, I suppose, are go check out Lorehammer Listen to Lore podcast. I read homebrew short stories that you guys submit. People still email me them, and then I file it away, and I will get to it eventually. So thanks for doing that. Go check out Lorehammer Listen to Lore podcast.
Yeah, and if you like Star Wars, come check out me and Jordan on the Star Lores podcast, where we dive deep into the Star Wars mythos.
And if you like Warhammer but fantasy, come check out Grim Lore. We are finally free from our hiatus. We're back in business.
Nice.
And so come listen to us talk about Warhammer Fantasy and some Destiny and some Halo. And we are not going to talk about the person that they just brought back after being dead from like the first books.
And if you guys like 40K and all things nerd, then we'll probably be friends. I'll just leave it at that. I'm not plugging. I'm just saying I agree with you. Nerdy things are cool, and I love you
And he
guys.
wants to
And
talk to you.
that's it. No, sometimes I just want to thank the people for being cool
Yeah.
and just listening to this. Like, seriously, if you guys are listening to this right now, if you're watching this, I know the chat's going. Like, this is, dude, this is amazing, right? This is fun. We get to talk
What a
about
time.
something so cool and interesting, and we get to play this game. And you, Mark, you've been hobbying like that. That brought me up, man. That
That's
brought me
so
up to feel
good.
that way. It was great.
Yeah,
So,
just imagine if we were born 100 years ago and we're like, well, guess we're going to go to war or something, or I don't fucking know what they were doing 100 years ago. They didn't have toilets. I know they weren't shitting in toilets. So I'm just saying we live in a glorious time. I agree with you.
I think we had toilets.
I think you read a little into what he was saying there.
Okay, I was like, pretty sure we have toilets 100 years
Listen, I've been
ago.
pooping on the floor just until a couple years ago, okay?
I know you just got Amazon in Panama, but like, there's,
Technology, it moves so quick. But,
oh man.
all right, well, we'll see you all on the next episode. Adios.